what's going on, everybody? Rogers Base here, and happy July to ya. In case you're wondering why am I saying happy July, July 2017 actually marks the 20th anniversary of One Piece first being published in Weekly Shonen Jump. And so, in order to celebrate, I am bringing you guys my One Piece 20 for 20 series. This is something where every day, for the first 20 days of July, I'm going to be bringing you guys a One Piece related video. And no, my reviews and live reactions do not count. These are going to be standalone videos where I discuss whatever I want to talk about regarding the world of One Piece. Sometimes these will be character discussions, sometimes they'll be theories, sometimes they'll be free-form discussions like today. And so for the first entry in the series, I figured that I would answer a question that a lot of you guys ask me all the time whenever I stream. Sometimes I get emails about this, I get tweets about this constantly, and even some of you guys write this in the comments of my videos every single week. Don't think that I didn't notice. So today I will be answering the long-awaited question, how did Rogers Base first get introduced to the world of One Piece? And my answer is going to be kind of unfortunate, and I think you guys know where I'm going with this just based on the expression on my face. My first ever introduction to One Piece was the 4Kids dub of the anime. I know it makes me cringe just saying that, but I actually remember first watching One Piece during a morning anime block that was on like a 4Kids block. I don't even remember what channel it was on. I think it was Fox. And the only reason I watched that 4Kids block was because at the time, I was an enormous fan of Yu-Gi-Oh! I collected the cards, I played the game, I watched the anime, I even had a dual disc that I recently sold on eBay. I love Yu-Gi-Oh! And again, this is kind of funny because I don't care about Yu-Gi-Oh! At all nowadays, but I was huge into it at the time, and right after Yu-Gi-Oh! Or right before, I don't even remember when it came on, I think it was right after, or no, it might have been right before, because I think I turned on One Piece for the first time, waiting for Yu-Gi-Oh! To come on, and then I was like, what the heck is this series? And I specifically remember my first ever introduction to the series. I know the episode. It's the episode where Sanji is saying thank you to the people on the Baratier. That was my first ever introduction to the series, was that episode, and I remember thinking, God, what is this awful show? This is supposedly about pirates, but like, why is there this chef on this floating ship? Why does the guy have a lollipop in his mouth? What is with this weird Brooklyn accent? I don't like this at all. And on top of it, funnily enough, I actually hated the art style, which is something that I love about One Piece today, but at the time, I just was not a fan of it at all. So that was my first ever introduction to the series, but I actually didn't really get into it or start reading it until Shonen Jump, the physical editions, were actually released in stores. So something that I would do when I was in junior high and high school is me and my dad would have trips to go to Borders, which is now closed, and we would just basically go to the magazine section and the manga section. I would pull out some books, and I would treat Borders like a library. I was one of those manga cows. I apologize to the manga industry. I'm sorry. I was a worthless little pleb. I didn't know any better. And at the time, I would basically read the latest issues of Shonen Jump to see what's going on in the world of Yu-Gi-Oh! And to see when the new Yu-Gi-Oh! Games were coming out and what the new cards were going to be and what the metagame was like. And sometimes in the physical editions of Jump, they would release Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards that you could only get from buying Shonen Jump. So what I would do is I would buy an issue of Shonen Jump, I would bring it back home, and then I would just flip through it. And I remember one day, I was flipping through it, and I saw there was a chapter in the Arlong Park arc. That was my first ever introduction to the manga. And I was reading it, and I was like, whoa, this is way different from the anime that I just watched on TV. There's no lollipop. In fact, Sanji is smoking a cigarette. All these characters look pretty awesome, and this villain, this shark guy, is pretty cool, so I want to find out more about it. So I started reading the manga whenever I picked up a physical volume of Jump, and then eventually I got my first 2 ever volumes of One Piece. I still have them to this day. This is volume 10 and volume 11 of the Shonen Jump translated, official English translation of One Piece through the Arlong Park arc, and I think this takes us through part of Rogue Town. I almost said Rogue Port, but Rogue Town as well. God, it's just like, it's cool to look back at these and remember what I thought at the time about One Piece. It's just very bizarre. But, so at that point, I started reading more about One Piece, got really into the series, and then I sort of fell off of it halfway through Alabasta. I was like, this is not catching my attention. I don't really like this. I did like Chopper's arc. I remember reading Drum Island and being like, I love this. But then as soon as like Alabasta proper started, I just like completely fell off. And I stayed off of the One Piece train for a while until one of my best friends growing up, John, introduced me to Jump Superstars for the DS. And I actually still have the original cartridge. And I remember he let me borrow this game, and I was playing it, and there's a moment in the game where you can activate like an Afro Luffy power-up. And I remember thinking, oh my god, what is this awesome thing that I was not familiar with in the series? Why does Luffy have an afro? Why is he way more powerful? I love this, and I really wanted to get back into the series again. So I hopped back on the One Piece train, and at the time, I think the manga in America was going through the Skypiea arc, and so naturally, you know where this is going. I started reading the Skypiea arc, and I was like, this is taking too long. I'm not really a fan of this, and stupid young Roger stopped reading One Piece, and I stayed off the One Piece train again, I think until about, I don't remember exactly what year, but I remember what the story arc was. It was the Thriller Bark story arc. I remember finding out that there was a talking skeleton that was going to join the crew, and I was like, this is awesome. This is right up my alley. Nightmare Before Christmas, Disney vibes. I love this. Let me start reading it again. Which is, again, also kind of funny because I skipped one of the best arcs in the entire series, Water 7, Enies Lobby, just because I was stupid and I wanted to see more action and I wasn't a fan of the adventure of Skypiea and the slower pace. So again, I dropped the series, I got back into it in Thriller Bark, and then I pretty much stayed on throughout the entirety of the rest of the manga. I think I dropped for a little bit after Marineford, or no, it was before Marineford. I think I dropped after the Amazon Lily arc for a little bit, and then I got back on the train around Marineford, and then again I read every single week after that. And the thing that really kept me reading every single week was I was in a Japanese class in college, and this was right around the time of the Fishman Island arc, so right after the time skip. It was a really exciting time to be a manga reader, and I remember my entire class was actually reading the manga week to week, and our teacher encouraged it because she was like, this is a great way to get introduced to things about Japanese culture, and you might actually learn some Japanese words in the meantime. You should start reading One Piece. So my entire class and my teacher were really invested in One Piece, and again, we were right in the middle of the Fishman Island arc, and again, this was in college, and the thing that really stood out to me in the moment where I was like, oh my god, One Piece is amazing, was the chapter where Jinbei and Luffy are laying down. Jinbei gives Luffy some of his blood, and then Luffy says, join my crew. And from that moment, I have not missed a week of One Piece. I have not missed an anime episode. I have not missed a manga chapter. I was full on the One Piece hype train from that moment. And now it's funny because the arc we're in right now is the resurgence of Jinbei. So it's cool how everything kind of comes full circle. And again, I never thought I was ever going to be doing One Piece reviews on YouTube. This is not something I ever expected to do. In fact, at that time, when I was into the Fishman Island arc with my Japanese class, I was watching King of Lightning and For Neverworld's reviews. And I thought, oh, this is really cool. People are like making videos on One Piece. That's neat. Maybe I could do that one day. And then eventually I did, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, from then on out, I got really, really into it. And then it was way later that I even discovered that Funimation was doing the dub of the anime, which is weird. I think I was just hardcore into the manga, and I didn't really focus on the anime because I thought 4Kids was still working on it. But then, I think around 2012, 2013, I realized that, oh my gosh, actually no, Funimation is dubbing the anime, and it's way better. And I was watching it week to week in the anime for the Japanese subtitles because they were releasing it online every week. And at the time, I remember really getting into seeing the ending of Fishman Island in the anime for the first time. And then at that time, I was into Punk Hazard in the manga. So then wanting to see what I was reading in the manga and the anime is really what kept me going. And I remember loving the Punk Hazard arc in the anime. I know it moves a little bit slowly now, but at the time I was like, oh my god, this is so great. And then again, after Punk Hazard, I was really into Dressrosa. I wanted to see how that stuff was going to get animated. And then here we are, after Dressrosa, after Zoe, now we're into Whole Cake Island, and now I'm doing YouTube videos about One Piece. So, long story short, that's how I got introduced to the world of One Piece. That was my introduction to it. I started with the 4Kids dub of the anime. I later found out that Funimation was doing a dub, got really into watching the Japanese subtitled version of it every week, and my first introduction to the manga was reading it weekly in Weekly Shonen Jump in North America, which I know is kind of bizarre. I don't know a lot of people who got into the series via the official English translation in Weekly Shonen Jump, but I did. And again, my first two volumes were the Arlong Park arc and the Rogue Town arc. And again, Jump Superstars, thank you to John for lending me Jump Superstars because they got me way into the series again. If not for Afro Luffy, I don't know if I ever actually would have gotten back into One Piece. Oh no, my alarm went off! This is telling me I've talked for way too long. I had an alarm where I didn't want this to go for any longer than 10 minutes because some of these videos are going to be long form, some of these are going to be bite-sized, but I set off an alarm. Oh well, that's perfect. I mean, it hit right at the nick of time. I was going to wrap up the video anyway. But yeah, that was my introduction to the world of One Piece. Hopefully this was interesting to you guys and fun. If you want to know more about One Piece, definitely be sure to subscribe to my channel because I do reviews about the anime and manga every single week. And if you don't want to miss another episode of my 20 for 20 series, which again will be posted every day for the first 20 days of July, make sure to hit that subscribe button. leave a like on this video if you liked anything I had to say. And again, leave your comments below. And I really want to know how you guys were first introduced to the series. What was your first introduction to One Piece? Was it also the 4Kids dub, or were you lucky? Did you start with the Funimation dub? Did you start with watching the anime with subtitles in Japanese the right way? Let me know in the comments below. And until tomorrow, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.